Hello, my name is Craig Carrel, president of Team One Plastics, and it's my honor to be with Jase Bolger, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the great state of Michigan. We're just having a conversation about the overall business environment and how the state government works within that framework. And I know we've already talked a lot about the changes that have happened over the last couple of years to really try to strengthen that and some of the positive results we're seeing. How do you see it continuing to play a role in today's environment and over the next few years?
I think the state government needs to provide a supportive role to people who want to provide jobs in our state. And I think we have turned the corner and gotten away from a move that believes that the state ought to directly decide who should succeed and then provide incentives or cash in some cases to help them. Instead, I think what we need to do is help the environment become better. We've started that. That process has started to pay off. We're seeing jobs created. I think a big area that we need to continue down, and we've just begun in Michigan, is with regard to regulations, cutting red tape. There was one day in the legislature a couple of weeks ago that in one day we removed one law, I believe it was 17 regulations and over 200 rules in one day, and we need to continue that. They were outdated, they were no longer protecting citizens, and there is much of that that exists that becomes work for bureaucrats to do, but it doesn't become a protection for our citizens, and it certainly stands in the way of job creation. So in addition to the tax reform and spending reform, I think we also need to do regulatory reform and make sure that Michigan's a more attractive place for people to create opportunities.
Well, really it's sort of a balance because the state has changed so much over the last few decades and really the business environment, just from a manufacturing standpoint, more of a global economy. And so have you seen that you really have to sort of try to right-size the state of Michigan? Because at some level, I know, in prior years it was, fit for a state that maybe it was at a different economic state. Has that been something that you've been working on then?
It has been. I think we spoke earlier about difficult but necessary decisions.
Right.
And we also spoke about disappointments, so maybe I can combine those two with this
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
That what we've seen is, I think, very important decisions that are not easy decisions to make. Reducing finances, making budget adjustments, making government more efficient certainly draws its opponents. And so maybe one of the disappointments is how partisan some of the opponents have been, how resistant they've been to change. The status quo in Michigan was not working because too many people weren't working. So we needed to make those changes. Those changes have already proven to be positive. But we need to come together as citizens and not be so divided and not seek to preserve a status quo that just doesn't work for our citizens. So we need to see these as happening together instead of being about battles.
Well, and as a business owner, we've seen change on a lightning pace, so it's good to see that the state government is beginning to respond to some of those changes that we've seen on a global basis.
We understand that you've had to make those changes, and you've had to make every business every employer has had to make adjustments in the downturn of the economy that were painful, that they didn't enjoy making, but that they were necessary to make sure that you could look out for your long term.
Yes, yes. So as we look ahead, we're optimistic about the future here in Michigan.